Today we're going to be looking at managing office assignments using the ArcGIS Indoors Space Planner. So just a quick overview on our agenda today. So we're going to first review the use cases and requirements of the Indoor Space Planner, and then we're going to do a demo setting up the Space Planner in ArcGIS Online. And then at the end, if there's time, we'll go through some questions you might have. So I guess first off, what is the Indoor Space Planner? It is an Esri application that can be deployed on both ArcGIS Online as well as Enterprise. And it's kind of similar to like Experience Builder or dashboards where, it's a no-code app solution where you can deploy it and then you can configure some parts of it. Um, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. And some of the main things that the Space Planner is used for is managing office assignments, allocating spaces, managing reservations, and also testing office assignment plans. So like in this video, here we can see that you can, take people that are unassigned and assign them to a space and then view that on a map and be able to manage that. So some of the requirements that you need to be able to deploy the Space Planner is that one, you're going to need an ArcGIS Online or an Enterprise license. For Enterprise, you need a portal version that is 11.0 or later. And then also we need ArcGIS Pro 3.0 and later. And so for this example, we're going to be using ArcGIS Online. You also are going to need the ArcGIS Indoors Pro extension or the Indoors Map extension. Um, and then also we're going to need the data has to be set up in the ArcGIS Indoors database schema. And so for the purpose of this webinar, we're kind of assuming that you've already done that part of getting your data into the correct schema, whether you're going from CAD or another um, kind of schema that you're working with. We're assuming you've already moved it to the indoors database schema, and now you're moving on to the point of publishing and wanting to be able to share and manage that data in Enterprise or in ArcGIS Online. So for the demo, we're first going to download the ArcGIS indoor map templates, and then we're going to configure the map in ArcGIS Pro. And then we're going to publish the web map to AGO, and then create and configure the Space Planner in ArcGIS Online, and then we're going to look at testing various features of the Space Planner and really see all that it can do. So just some resources. The Space Planner documentation from Esri is really helpful of, the instructions of how to set up the web map and how to publish it, which is kind of going to be the process that we're going through today. And then also a link for the indoors web map templates that we're going to be using. All right. So moving on to the demo portion here. Um, so this was that first link that I had about showing how to set up a web map for the Space Planner and to publish it. And so here in their documentation, they have instructions of how to set up all the layers and the symbology and everything for the web map. And the Space Planner web map can be a little bit finicky to get those settings right, because if you don't have some settings correct, it will cause issues while you're trying to configure or publish the Space Planner app. So it is important to kind of pay attention to those details. And I think one way that's a lot easier in my mind is to be able to they offer these map templates that instead of having to go through and manually adjust these settings, you can actually just download templates that Esri provides and bring that right into your map and connect that to your data. So that's what these instructions are here. So that's what we're going to do today. And so if we go over here, this is where we would download the map templates. So you'd go to My Esri and then go to Product Data and download the map templates. And then we'll move on to ArcGIS Pro. So after you've downloaded the map templates, they're going to download to your program data, and then Once you find them, you can open up these folders. So we get lots of different map templates that can be really helpful. And the one that we're going to be using is the Space Planner map template. But you do also get some other things like symbology, topology stuff. So definitely helpful to download some of that product data. So for our use case today, I'm just going to first start with copying the web map template, and then I'm just going to paste it into my project folder. And that's just because I like to kind of keep my template separate from anything that I'm actually working on in case I need to use this template again. So then now I'm going to add and open that in my actual Pro project. So now you'll see we have the dreaded red exclamation marks, meaning that the data source isn't connected and that we would need to repair it. And that makes sense considering it's a template, so there isn't actually any data involved here. But all of the layers that we have are already set up with all the settings that we need, that the Space Planner needs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repair the data source to connect to my own data. So my data is here. And I just wanted to showcase that this is what the indoors database schema looks like. We have our indoors data set and all of these layers. And so, again, you're going to want to make sure that you've already done that work of getting your data into the schema. So now I'm just going to repair my data source. Select the occupants, and then once I do one layer, it's going to automatically know that I want all of the layers repaired. And then now if I zoom to my data, we'll see that all of my data is now in this map. It's formatted, both the symbology, labels, everything's set up. And also we get the floor filter, which is already set up. And again, you need an indoors extension to be able to have the floor filter working. Um, yeah, so this template's a really quick and easy way just to get everything pretty much set up how you want it, to be able to set up the space planner. And so if I use that floor filter, I can go to, let's say, like the first floor of this building and see the symbology of the people that are already in units and that are assigned, or rooms that are still open. Um, and how this is working in the background is that this occupant layer is a point layer. And if we go to the attributes, how it knows that a person is assigned to a room is based off of unit ID. So every unit has a unique ID, and on the occupant layer, we actually have a unit ID field. See if I can find it, where it's going to have, oh goodness, I can't find it. Well, somewhere in here is a unit ID field that, here it is. So this is where, looking at this, anybody that has a unit ID that matches a unit that we have, they're going to be considered assigned to the room. So that's what's going on in the background. That's important to keep in mind when you're looking at the Space Planner application, and kind of knowing what's going on in the background of it. So I'm not going to change a lot of the settings here. I could configure more and change the symbology, but I'm going to leave it as is. The only thing I'm going to do is add a reservation layer. So this is in the indoors database schema. It's already set up. It shouldn't have any data in it. It should be blank, but basically it's going to be used in the space planner. So I'm going to be showcasing how you can set up a space planner to be able to configure rooms that can be reservable and can be booked. And so they give you two options with indoors. You can connect it to Office 365, or you could use this reservation layer, which will manage reservations. So that's what we're going to do. And um, yeah, so that'll be more relevant later as we get into the app. But now that we have all of our data in here and I've added that layer, I'm ready to share my web map. So I'm going to go to share and then go to web map. And then over here, I could change the name of the web map, but there are a few settings that we're going to want to change in order to make the space planner work. So this is all in the documentation, but First, we're going to want to select editable for our configuration since we're working with a space planner and you're going to be managing and editing data. And then I haven't actually published this layer yet. So as I publish this web map, it's going to publish all of these layers as a hosted feature layer. And that's what this is over here. And so I'm going to go into the properties of my layer and go to configuration. And I just need to make sure that export data is checked, preserve editor tracking is checked, and then also that enable editing and these are add, delete, and update are all checked. And if you don't have these settings saved, the Space Planner is going to have an error when you try to create it. So it's important to make sure that you get those settings set up. All right. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to actually share this web map, but this would be good to go now. And so we'll move on since I already have this web map shared in our ArcGIS Online. So after we've gone through that part, we would get to here where now our web map is shared. We have our layers in here. Everything should be set up how we had it in Pro. But there's still a few more things we need to do with our actual hosted feature layer. So if I go to the settings of my hosted feature layer, we just need to make sure that the keep track of changes is checked on, as well as keep track of who edited the data. And I already have these checked on because I'm using this web map currently for the demo. But if you had just published it, these might not be checked. So you just have to make sure that they are. Otherwise, you're probably going to get an error when you try to create your Space Planner app. All right. So now that we have all of the settings configured for the layer and the web map, we are ready to actually create an app. So similar to like Experience Builder, you'll go to Create App, and then here we have Indoors. We'll see if this loads. So I've been getting this error this morning, first time I've seen it before, but where it's not showing up for my options to create an indoors viewer or the Space Planner app, but I'm assuming it's just a bug maybe from this morning. So we're going to just move on and I can kind of show you what it would look like if we hadn't gotten this error and we were able to create the Space Planner app. And so assuming we hadn't gotten that, where we would be is we would be on the configuring side. So, well, let's go back to our content here. So we'll go to the Space Planner that I already have set up. And if we had just created the app, I would click Configure. And then here is where we would have the configuration settings that we can actually set up for the application. And so you don't get as many options as you do with Experience Builder to kind of add different widgets and really customize it to your own use case. It's more of an out-of-the-box kind of solution, but you do get some things you can configure. So we could kind of adjust the rooms that we want to use the fields that we want to use for the different layers. We also have you can configure the unit field that is going to be your primary field to be using throughout the app, and then also the workspace areas, this is going to be pertaining to the reservation layer. So it's already set up to be using the reservation layer. You could turn this off and not have that be part of your app, or you could have it use Microsoft 365 to connect to your actual organization. So we're going to keep that on so we can showcase that. And then here we have organization areas. So I have that checked on as another kind of cool part of the Space Planner I wanted to show off. And again, you could have that turned off and it wouldn't be in your app anymore. Um, but yeah, we're going to leave that on. So after you've configured these settings, you're going to be directed to select a plan. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but also it's pretty cool that basically in Indoors, we're working off of a versioned system. So in enterprise, that's a little bit more normal, where you have like your enterprise database. And if you were making this app in enterprise, you would have your units and your occupants layer be versioned. And so when you create a plan, it's creating a version of your data. And basically, the intention for that is that you can kind of play around with your data, play around with, different office plans, and do all of that before you actually merge to your authoritative data and update it. But in ArcGIS Online, we're working off of a hosted system. So there is no, enterprise database in the background. It's all just hosted online. So it kind of gives a question of how does this versioning work then? And what's happening in the background is that when you create a new plan, it's basically copying your authoritative data. So let's go to our content here. Let's see. So if we go to my content and I've created those two plans, what we'll see is that these plans are actually created as they're hosted layers now. And so here's the one that we actually published with the web map. That's our authoritative data. So that's this layer. And then when I've created plans in the Indoor Space Planner, it's creating these plans here in my content. And these are the layers that I'm actually editing when I'm working within my plan. But I can merge those, and that's when it gets merged to the authoritative data, and that's when we'll actually see it in our authoritative layer here. So if we go back to the Space Planner, so what I would do from here is open a plan, and I'm actually going to skip ahead from that part because it takes a little bit of time to open and load it. But let's say I've opened the plan, and this is kind of what it would look like. And now I can make edits here. I can move people. I can review it. I can do all of that. And then once I'm ready and I have confirmed that it's good to move forward to updating the authoritative layer, I would uh, merge my plan with the default plan. And I could also take changes, let's say from the default plan if somebody else has made changes and they've merged, and now my plan can, get those most recent changes. And so there's like kind of the system of versioning, but it's in ArcGIS Online. And when you delete a plan, so if I go back here and let's say, oops, I were to be deleting a plan like this one, it will delete that layer off of out of your ArcGIS Online account. So it's all being managed kind of in the background. But so now we have our space planner open and I'm working with, my plan here, webinar test plan demo. And basically now I'm just going to be showing kind of the things that you can do with a space planner now that we have it configured. So the first part is, assigning people using that occupants layer. So over on the left here, we have a list of our unassigned people. And I can drag and drop them into a room to assign them to a space. And then over here on the right, we have all of our occupants. And if they have a green mark, it means that they've already been assigned. And we can see that this person's in office 210. If they have orange, they have no assignment yet. We can also see our rooms and we can filter them. So we can kind of explore the data that way. But let's say if I was, going to be assigning someone, so I can just drag and drop someone to a room, click assign, and then now that room is going to be updated with their name and the color will change to show that there's somebody in that room. And you can assign multiple people to a room, so I could drag and drop another person. It's going to ask me if I want to unassign the person that's already in there, but I can keep both people in there. And what's going on in the background is, as I kind of showed before in Pro, that occupant layer has that unit ID. So now those occupants have been updated so that their unit ID field has the ID of the room they've been assigned to. Um, and when you have two people in one room, since it's a point layer, they're actually stacked on top of each other in the center point of that unit. And so I can only see one label at a time. But since they are points, we are able to move them. So I can move a point around. I can move, another person over here, and let's say maybe their desks are in separate areas. You can get kind of detailed with it. But if I click done, now I can see both people and I've spread them out in the room. Um, so that's how you would see multiple labels of, different people in one room. And you can also do things like if I were to click this room, I can see the properties, the attributes. I can click on a person. I can, you know, assign them to, let's say, another room, um, and do it that way. And I could choose to unassign them from their current room or keep them in their current room. So there are a lot of options to kind of move people around and view your data and be able to manage office assignments. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on is, as I've said, so we have that versioning going on where like these changes I just made, they aren't going to reflect in our actual authoritative default layer, not until I merge. But let's say I wanted to, have somebody review my plan and make sure that before I merge it, everything looks good. I could, bring somebody else in to see all the moves I've made. So this will show all the people that I've added and to what room, if I've moved them from a room to a different one. And then also I can leave comments and I could update like a location for the comment so that somebody else could come in here and be able to reply or look at it. Um, and we can kind of have this collaborative process with the Space Planner. Um, so that's a really cool part of being able to collaborate and be able to kind of test out different plans that you want to do before you actually merge that into the authoritative plan. And you can also have restrictions of, having only certain people have the power to merge. And maybe I could edit my plan, but I'm not able to merge it. Somebody else needs to review it and then they can merge it. Another thing I wanted to touch on is this allocate tab. So each person has a department. And so that's kind of what I'm considering organization area in this situation for like a college campus is that is a person's department. So when you first load in your data, let's see if we go back to Pro and look at the occupant attributes, we'll see that we have a field that will show the org level ID one field, and that's going to have your department in it. So when I loaded it in, it comes through in the allocate tab, and I can actually see, okay, for academic advising, I can see all the people that are in that department and what units are assigned to that department. So it's another option to be able to view the campus in more of a department kind of setting. Um, so like with the first floor, we can kind of see here's like the academic advising rooms. So this part of the Space Planner is a little bit newer, and this is going to be so you'll see the allocate tab available in ArcGIS Online or in newer versions of Enterprise. And lastly, we're running a little low on time here, but just wanted to get to those reservations. So we go over here to our workspace areas. This is where you can you can basically create rooms that you're going to allow to be reservable. So I've set up some spaces like the biology reservation rooms. And if I look at the units, I can go over here and see that I have designated this as a meeting room. So that means that it can be reserved. And so I could add rooms to this workspace area by doing assign. I could say create another meeting room, do it for the biology reservation rooms. And then once I've merged that data, um, this is going to be now usable in the Indoor Viewer app. So here is another app that's another Indoors app that you can use. And since I've set up that reservation layer that we saw in Pro, and I've set up the workspace areas and selected rooms that can be reservable, we can go to the Meetings tab over here on the Indoors Viewer, and this app is just for viewing and exploring your Indoors data. And I can select a time. So let's say I do 4 p.m. today. Oops. Click OK. Done. And then now we'll see that these are all the rooms that are available. So if I go to this one, I could book this meeting room. And we'll see that we can look at the schedule. So like I have set up here, webinar, uh, a different meeting that I've booked the room for. So I could book this room, click confirm, and then I can add that to my Google Calendar, and now this room is booked. And that's all being managed with that reservation layer that we saw in Pro. So that data of that I booked that room is actually going to be populating this layer in the background.